Welcome to LazyCosmos. And if you're new here, this is actually my very first video, so I'm incredibly excited to share this mind-blowing journey with you. Right now, as you're sitting there watching this, you think you're using just your eyes and ears. But the truth is, you're actually using at least 12 different senses that you probably didn't even know existed. For over 2,000 years, we've been told the lie that humans only have five senses, but modern neuroscience has shattered that myth completely. You have hidden superpowers. You're a walking earthquake detector, a human compass, and you can literally sense someone's presence before you see them. You've probably experienced these mysterious abilities before, but dismissed them as coincidence or imagination. Well, today we're going to uncover the scientific truth behind your hidden sensory world. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why you can touch your nose with your eyes closed, how you can predict storms better than weather apps, and why you sometimes just know things without any logical explanation. If you're as fascinated by the incredible capabilities of the human body as I am, make sure to subscribe to LazyCosmos because we're just getting started on this amazing journey of discovery together. So, are you ready to unlock the secrets of your hidden senses and discover the superhuman abilities you never knew you had? Let's dive in. Beyond the famous five. Welcome back to LazyCosmos. So we've just shattered the myth about having only five senses, but let me take you deeper into this rabbit hole, because what you're about to discover will completely change how you understand your own body and mind. The story of our five senses actually begins over 2,000 years ago with a brilliant but ultimately wrong assumption made by the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle. Around 350 BCE, Aristotle observed humans and concluded that we perceive the world through sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. For over 2 millennia, this became scientific gospel, taught in every school, repeated in every textbook, and accepted as absolute truth. But here's the thing about scientific truth. It evolves, and sometimes it gets completely revolutionized. Fast forward to the 21st century, and neuroscientists armed with brain imaging technology, advanced understanding of neural pathways, and sophisticated measurement tools have discovered something extraordinary. The human sensory system isn't a simple five-channel radio. It's more like a complex orchestra with dozens of instruments playing simultaneously. Modern research has identified at least 21 distinct human senses, and some scientists argue the number could be even higher depending on how we categorize different sensory mechanisms. Think about that for a moment. We've been using less than a quarter of our actual sensory vocabulary to describe our experience of reality. But here's where it gets really fascinating, and this is something that might blow your mind right now as you're watching this video. Every single second of your existence, your body is processing an incredible symphony of sensory information that your conscious mind isn't even aware of. While you're focused on the visual information from your screen and the auditory information from your speakers or headphones, your hidden senses are working overtime. Your body is automatically monitoring your internal temperature, tracking the position of every limb, measuring the pressure changes in your environment, detecting vibrations through your skeletal system, sensing the chemical composition of the air around you, and even picking up on the bioelectric fields generated by nearby electronic devices. The reason this discovery is so profound goes beyond just academic curiosity. These hidden senses have been shaping your decisions, influencing your emotions, and guiding your behavior your entire life without you realizing it. That gut feeling you get when you walk into a room and immediately sense tension, that's not mystical intuition. That's your social sensing system processing micro-expressions, body language, vocal tones, and even chemical signals at a subconscious level. That moment when you suddenly feel uneasy in a place that looks perfectly safe, your hidden senses might be detecting subsonic vibrations, changes in air pressure, or electromagnetic anomalies that your conscious mind hasn't registered yet. What's even more remarkable is how these discoveries are rewriting our understanding of human evolution and survival. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors relied on these hidden senses to navigate dangerous environments, find food sources, detect predators, and locate suitable shelter. These weren't optional extras. They were literally the difference between life and death. A hunter who could sense approaching storms through barometric pressure changes could seek shelter before deadly weather struck. A gatherer who could detect underground water sources through subtle ground vibrations could find life-saving resources in drought conditions. A parent who could sense their child's illness through chemical changes in scent could provide care before symptoms became critical. The tragic irony is that in our modern world of concrete jungles, artificial lighting, processed foods, and digital interfaces, many of these ancient sensory abilities are becoming dormant. We've traded our biological GPS for smartphone navigation, our weather sensitivity for meteorological apps, and our social intuition for social media algorithms. But here's the incredible thing. These senses aren't gone. They're just sleeping. Recent research in neuroplasticity shows that with awareness, practice, and the right techniques, we can reawaken and even enhance these dormant sensory abilities. Consider the implications of this for your daily life. Imagine being able to sense when someone is lying not through elaborate psychological analysis, but through subtle changes in their bioelectric field that your nervous system can detect. Picture being able to predict your own illness days before symptoms appear by tuning into the early warning signals your interoceptive system is constantly broadcasting. Think about navigating unfamiliar places with the confidence that comes from trusting your body's internal compass, or making better decisions by learning to interpret the sophisticated information your hidden senses are continuously gathering about your environment. This isn't science fiction or New Age mysticism. This is cutting-edge neuroscience revealing capabilities that have been documented, measured, and verified in laboratory settings around the world. Universities from Harvard to Tokyo are publishing peer-reviewed research that confirms what indigenous cultures have known for millennia. Human sensory perception extends far beyond what we learned in elementary school biology class. As we embark on this journey together through your hidden sensory world, I want you to approach each revelation with both scientific skepticism and open-minded curiosity. We'll explore the specific mechanisms behind each sense, examine the research that proves their existence, and discover practical ways you can begin to recognize and develop these abilities in your own life. By the end of our exploration, you'll understand that you're not just a passive observer of reality. You're an incredibly sophisticated biological sensor array with capabilities that would make the most advanced artificial intelligence systems seem primitive by comparison. So as we move forward into exploring each of these hidden senses in detail, remember that this isn't just about accumulating interesting facts. This is about reclaiming your full human potential and understanding the remarkable biological heritage that millions of years of evolution have gifted you. Your body is already a masterpiece of sensory engineering. We're just going to learn how to read the manual that nobody ever gave you. Are you ready to discover what you're truly capable of sensing? Let's begin this incredible journey into the hidden dimensions of human perception, the internal GPS system. Now that we've opened the door to your hidden sensory world, let's dive into one of the most remarkable and constantly active senses you possess. One that's so fundamental to your existence that you literally couldn't function without it. Yet most people have never even heard its name. This is proprioception, and right now, as you're sitting or standing wherever you are, it's working with incredible precision to tell your brain the exact position of every part of your body in three-dimensional space. Think of it as your body's internal GPS system. But instead of satellites, it uses thousands of microscopic sensors embedded throughout your muscles, tendons, joints, and ligaments to create a real-time map of your physical self. The word proprioception comes from the Latin proprius, meaning one's own, and perception, which gives us this beautiful concept of perceiving oneself. But this simple definition doesn't begin to capture the sophisticated biological engineering that makes this sense possible. Every single muscle fiber in your body contains specialized receptors called muscle spindles that constantly monitor how stretched or contracted that muscle is. Your tendons house Golgi tendon organs that measure the tension and force being applied. Your joints contain mechanoreceptors that detect the angle and position of every articulation. All of this information is being transmitted to your brain at lightning speed, creating a comprehensive internal blueprint of your body's configuration that updates thousands of times per second. Here's where proprioception becomes absolutely mind-blowing. Your brain takes this constant stream of positional data and integrates it with information from your inner ear's vestibular system, your visual system, and even your sense of touch to create what neuroscientists call your body schema. Essentially, a neural representation of your body in space that's so accurate it can guide complex movements even when you can't see what you're doing. This is why you can reach for a light switch in a dark room and find it on the first try. Why you can scratch an itch on your back without looking. And why you can walk downstairs while having a conversation without consciously thinking about where to place each foot. But let me give you a simple demonstration of just how extraordinary this system really is. Close your eyes right now. Seriously, close them, and slowly raise your right hand above your head. Now, without opening your eyes, bring that hand down and try to touch the tip of your nose. If you're like most people, you probably came pretty close, maybe even hit it exactly. Now think about what just happened from a mechanical perspective. Your brain had to calculate the current position of your hand, determine the location of your nose, plot a three-dimensional trajectory through space, and then coordinate the movement of multiple joints and dozens of muscles to execute that movement with remarkable precision, all while receiving no visual feedback whatsoever. The sophistication of this system becomes even more apparent when we look at what happens when proprioception is compromised. There are rare neurological conditions where people lose their proprioceptive abilities, and the results are devastating. Without this internal positioning system, simple tasks like buttoning a shirt, picking up a cup, or even standing upright become nearly impossible. These individuals can only move effectively when they can see their limbs, because their visual system has to compensate for the lost proprioceptive information. It's like trying to navigate with a GPS that's constantly offline. You can still get around if you have visual landmarks, but the moment you lose sight of where you're going, you're completely lost. What's fascinating is how this sense adapts and changes throughout our lives. When you first learned to ride a bicycle, your proprioceptive system had to integrate the position and movement of not just your body, but the bicycle as well, essentially extending your body schema to include the mechanical system you were controlling. Professional athletes take this integration to extraordinary levels. A basketball player doesn't consciously calculate the angle of their wrist, the position of their elbow, and the rotation of their shoulder when shooting. Their refined proprioceptive system has internalized these complex spatial relationships so thoroughly that they can make accurate shots while running, jumping, and being defended by opponents. The space program has given us incredible insights into how crucial proprioception is for normal human function. When astronauts first enter zero gravity, their proprioceptive system goes haywire because it evolved in Earth's gravitational field. Without the constant downward pull that their sensors are calibrated to expect, astronauts often experience severe disorientation, nausea, and difficulty controlling their movements. They report feeling like their limbs don't belong to them, and simple tasks become incredibly challenging until their nervous system adapts to the new environment. Some astronauts describe the sensation as feeling like they're constantly falling or floating, which is essentially their proprioceptive system's confused attempt to make sense of an environment it was never designed to handle. But here's something even more remarkable about proprioception. It's not just about knowing where your body parts are, it's about predicting where they're going to be. Your proprioceptive system is constantly running predictive models, anticipating the consequences of movements before they happen. This is why you can catch a ball thrown at you, why you can adjust your balance when walking on uneven terrain, and why you can coordinate complex movements like dancing or playing a musical instrument. Your brain is essentially running a real-time physics simulation of your body, predicting future states and making micro adjustments to ensure smooth, coordinated movement. The evolutionary importance of this sense cannot be overstated. Our ancestors, who could accurately track the position of their limbs while hunting, climbing, or escaping predators, had a massive survival advantage. Those with poor proprioception would have been more likely to fall from trees, miss crucial throws with hunting tools, or stumble while fleeing danger. Over millions of years, natural selection refined this system to the incredible precision we see today. Modern life, however, presents unique challenges to our proprioceptive system. We spend hours in static positions, sitting at desks, looking at screens, wearing supportive shoes that reduce the sensory feedback from our feet. This sensory deprivation can actually dull our proprioceptive abilities over time. Physical therapists and movement specialists are increasingly recognizing that many modern injuries and movement problems stem partly from degraded proprioceptive awareness. But there's hope, and it's incredibly exciting. Research shows that proprioception can be trained and improved at any age. Practices like yoga, martial arts, dance, and specific balance exercises can enhance your proprioceptive sensitivity. Even simple activities like walking barefoot on varied surfaces, practicing single-leg stands, or doing movements with your eyes closed can help sharpen this internal GPS system. What's truly amazing is that this sense extends beyond just your physical body. Tool use actually incorporates external objects into your proprioceptive map. When you're driving a car, experienced drivers develop a proprioceptive sense of the vehicle's dimensions. They know intuitively how close they can get to other cars or obstacles. When you're using a hammer, it becomes an extension of your arm in your proprioceptive map. This plasticity of body schema is one of the most remarkable features of human neurology. As we move forward in our exploration of hidden senses, remember that proprioception is working right now, this very moment, keeping track of your posture as you watch this video, monitoring the position of your hands, and maintaining your balance. It's the silent guardian that allows you to move through the world with confidence and grace. And understanding, it is the first step in appreciating the incredible sensory symphony that makes human experience possible. The body's internal weather station. While your proprioceptive system is busy mapping your body's position in external space, there's another equally sophisticated sensory network operating inside you that most people never even think about. Yet it might be the most crucial sense for your survival. This is interoception, your body's internal weather station, and it's constantly monitoring the complex biological climate that exists within your skin. Right now, as you're focused on these words, your interoceptive system is taking thousands of measurements per second, tracking your heart rate, monitoring your breathing rhythm, measuring your internal temperature, assessing your blood pressure, evaluating your hydration levels, checking your blood sugar, and even detecting the subtle chemical changes that signal everything from hunger to the early stages of illness. The remarkable thing about interoception is that it operates on multiple levels simultaneously. At the most basic level, it's keeping track of what scientists call your homeostatic state, essentially making sure all your biological systems are running within safe parameters. But at higher levels of processing, interoceptive information becomes the foundation for emotions, intuition, and what we often call gut feelings. When you say you have a gut feeling about something, you're literally describing interoceptive processing. Your brain is interpreting subtle changes in your internal state and translating them into conscious awareness that something is different or important. Let's start with the most obvious interoceptive sense that everyone can relate to: your awareness of your own heartbeat. Most people assume they can't feel their heart beating unless they're exercising hard or experiencing stress, but research reveals something fascinating. There are actually significant individual differences in what scientists call cardiac interoception, the ability to consciously detect your own heartbeat. Some people can count their heartbeats accurately while sitting quietly, while others have almost no conscious awareness of their cardiac rhythm. What's incredible is that this ability to sense your heartbeat predicts all sorts of other capabilities. People with strong cardiac interoception tend to be better at recognizing emotions in themselves and others. They're more accurate at detecting lies. They have better decision-making abilities under pressure, and they're even more creative and empathetic. But your heart is just one instrument in the interoceptive orchestra. Your respiratory system is constantly sending signals about your breathing rate, the depth of your breaths, and the chemical composition of your blood. When you hold your breath, it's not just the feeling of air hunger that makes you eventually gasp. Your chemoreceptors are detecting rising carbon dioxide levels and decreasing oxygen levels in your bloodstream. sending increasingly urgent signals that override your conscious control. This system is so sensitive that it can detect changes in blood chemistry that occur seconds before you're consciously aware of needing to breathe. Your digestive system represents perhaps the most complex interoceptive network in your body. The gut contains more nerve cells than your spinal cord, and it's constantly communicating with your brain through what scientists call the gut-brain axis. This isn't just about feeling hungry or full. Your intestinal interoceptive system is monitoring nutrient absorption, detecting potential toxins, tracking the health of your gut microbiome, and even producing neurotransmitters that directly affect your mood and mental state. When people talk about trusting your gut for important decisions, there's actually solid neuroscience behind this advice. Your digestive system processes information about your environment and your body's needs in ways that your conscious mind can't access directly, but that can influence your decision-making through interoceptive awareness. Temperature regulation provides another fascinating window into interoceptive processing. Your body maintains its core temperature within incredibly narrow bounds. Just a few degrees of variation can be life-threatening. To accomplish this, you have thermal sensors distributed throughout your body that are constantly reporting to your brain's hypothalamus. But here's what's remarkable. This system doesn't just react to temperature changes, it predicts them. When you step from a warm building into cold air, your body begins making adjustments before your core temperature actually changes. Your interoceptive system is running predictive models based on skin temperature, environmental cues, and past experience to keep you in perfect thermal balance. The immune system connection to interoception might be the most profound and least understood aspect of this sense. When you're getting sick, your interoceptive system often detects the problem long before you have any obvious symptoms. You might feel off or have a vague sense that something isn't right, even when you can't identify any specific problem. This is your interoceptive network picking up on subtle changes in inflammation, immune activity, or cellular metabolism that signal your body is fighting off an infection or dealing with some other challenge. Some people are so sensitive to these internal changes that they can predict when they're going to get sick days before symptoms appear. What's absolutely fascinating is how interoception interacts with emotions and psychology. Modern neuroscience has revealed that emotions aren't just mental phenomena. They're deeply embodied experiences that emerge from interoceptive processing. When you feel anxious, your interoceptive system is detecting changes in heart rate, breathing patterns, muscle tension, and stress hormone levels. When you feel excited, you're sensing increased arousal in your sympathetic nervous system. When you feel calm and peaceful, your interoceptive awareness is picking up on the activation of your parasympathetic nervous system. This means that developing better interoceptive awareness can actually improve your emotional intelligence and psychological well-being. The research on interoceptive training is yielding remarkable results. Studies show that practices like meditation, yoga, and mindfulness training can significantly improve interoceptive sensitivity. People who develop stronger interoceptive awareness report better emotional regulation, reduced anxiety, improved decision-making, and even enhanced creativity. There's growing evidence that many psychological problems, from anxiety disorders to eating disorders to addiction, involve disrupted interoceptive processing. When people lose touch with their internal signals, they become more likely to rely on external cues for guidance, which can lead to all sorts of problems. But interoception isn't just about individual awareness. It has profound social implications as well. Your interoceptive system is constantly responding to social situations in ways you might not realize. When you're in a stressful social situation, your heart rate increases, your breathing changes, your stress hormones rise, and your interoceptive system detects all of these changes. Over time, you learn to associate certain interoceptive states with different social situations, which contributes to your social intuition and ability to read social dynamics. The evolutionary perspective on interoception is compelling. Our ancestors, who could accurately read their internal signals, had massive survival advantages. Those who could detect early signs of illness could seek help or avoid contaminating their social group. Those who could sense dehydration or nutritional needs could make better foraging decisions. Those who could recognize the internal signs of danger could respond more quickly to threats. This internal awareness system was literally a matter of life and death for millions of years of human evolution. Modern life presents unique challenges to our interoceptive abilities. We're constantly bombarded with external stimuli that can drown out subtle internal signals. We eat processed foods that confuse our natural hunger and satiety cues. We live in climate-controlled environments that reduce thermal feedback. We take medications that alter our internal chemistry. We live stressful, hurried lives that make it difficult to tune into subtle internal changes. Many people have become so disconnected from their interoceptive awareness that they don't recognize hunger, thirst, fatigue, or even pain until these signals become overwhelming. Yet there's tremendous hope in the growing understanding of interoceptive plasticity. Your ability to sense your internal state can be improved at any age through practice and attention. Simple practices, like taking a few minutes each day to scan your body and notice internal sensations, paying attention to your breathing rhythm, or practicing eating mindfully can strengthen your interoceptive awareness. As you develop this internal sensitivity, you'll likely find that you make better decisions, have more stable emotions, and feel more connected to your body and your environment. As we continue our journey through your hidden senses, remember that interoception is operating right now, providing the biological foundation for your conscious experience. It's the bridge between your physical body and your mental life, the source of your emotions and intuitions, and one of your most powerful tools for navigating the complex challenges of human existence. Understanding and developing this sense isn't just intellectually interesting. It's practically transformational for how you experience life itself, your personal earthquake detector. As we journey deeper into your hidden sensory abilities, we're about to explore one of the most primitive and powerful senses you possess, one that connects you directly to the very planet beneath your feet and has been saving human lives for hundreds of thousands of years. This is your seismic sense, your ability to detect vibrations through the ground and through your own skeletal system. And it's operating right now as you sit or stand wherever you are. Every footstep in the hallway above you, every passing vehicle outside, every rumble of machinery in the distance. Your body is detecting and processing these vibrations in ways that would make the most sophisticated seismographic equipment seem crude by comparison. The foundation of your seismic sensing ability lies in a remarkable property of bone that most people never think about. Your skeleton isn't just a rigid framework holding you upright. It's a living, dynamic structure that acts as a biological antenna for mechanical vibrations traveling through solid matter. When vibrations move through the ground, they travel up through your feet, legs, pelvis, and spine, creating subtle but detectable changes in bone density and position that specialized mechanoreceptors can sense. But it doesn't stop there. These vibrations also travel through the air and through any solid surfaces you're in contact with, meaning your entire skeletal system is constantly receiving and processing vibrational information from your environment. The sensitivity of this system is absolutely staggering. Research has shown that humans can detect ground vibrations so subtle that they're measured in nanometers. That's billionths of a meter. To put this in perspective, if the Earth were scaled up to the size of a basketball, you could detect vibrations smaller than the width of a human hair. This incredible sensitivity means you're constantly receiving information about your environment that your conscious mind isn't even aware of. That heavy truck approaching from several blocks away? Your seismic sense detected it long before you could see or consciously hear it. That construction work happening across town? The vibrations are traveling through the ground to your location, and your body is registering them, even if you're not consciously aware of the information. But here's where this sense becomes truly remarkable. It's not just about detecting vibrations, it's about interpreting them. Your brain has learned to distinguish between different types of vibrational patterns, essentially creating a library of seismic signatures that help you understand what's happening in your environment. The rhythmic vibrations of someone walking create a different pattern than the irregular vibrations of something falling. The steady vibrations of machinery create a different signature than the sharp, sudden vibrations of impact. Over your lifetime, your nervous system has been unconsciously cataloging these different vibrational patterns, building a sophisticated database that allows you to identify potential threats, opportunities, or changes in your environment based solely on mechanical vibrations. The evolutionary importance of this sense cannot be overstated. For our ancestors living in dangerous environments, the ability to detect approaching predators, falling rocks, or stampeding animals through ground vibrations could mean the difference between life and death. A hunter who could sense the approach of large game animals through their footsteps would have a massive advantage. A gatherer who could detect the vibrations of flowing water underground could find life-saving resources in drought conditions. A parent who could sense their child falling or getting into trouble through subtle vibrations would be more successful at keeping their offspring safe. What's fascinating is how this sense connects us to other species in ways we rarely consider. Elephants are perhaps the most famous example of animals that use seismic communication, but their abilities help us understand the potential of our own vibrational sensing. Elephants can detect the footsteps of other elephants from miles away, communicate across vast distances through ground vibrations, and even predict earthquakes and storms through their sensitivity to infrasonic vibrations, sound frequencies too low for conscious hearing. While human seismic sensitivity isn't as refined as an elephant's, we share the same basic biological mechanisms, and there's growing evidence that with training and attention, we can develop remarkable abilities in this area. The connection between seismic sensing and earthquake prediction in humans has been documented in cultures around the world for thousands of years. Long before modern seismographic equipment, many human societies had individuals who could predict earthquakes hours or even days before they occurred. These people weren't using mystical powers. They were likely highly sensitive to the subtle changes in ground vibrations, electromagnetic fields, and other environmental factors that precede major seismic events. Modern research is beginning to validate some of these traditional abilities, showing that sensitive individuals can indeed detect precursory signals that machines might miss. Your seismic sense also plays a crucial role in activities you might not expect. Musicians, particularly drummers and percussionists, often develop extraordinary sensitivity to vibrations that enhance their ability to feel rhythm and timing in ways that go beyond just auditory processing. Dancers frequently describe feeling music in their bodies rather than just hearing it, which reflects their enhanced sensitivity to the vibrational components of sound. Construction workers, mechanics, and other professionals who work with heavy machinery often develop almost supernatural abilities to diagnose problems through subtle changes in vibrations that they feel rather than hear. The modern urban environment has created a complex vibrational landscape that your seismic sense is constantly navigating. The constant hum of air conditioning systems, the rhythmic vibrations of subway trains passing underground, the microtremors from heavy traffic. All of this creates what scientists call a seismic noise floor that your nervous system has to filter and interpret. What's remarkable is how adaptable this system is. People who live near airports learn to distinguish between different types of aircraft based on their vibrational signatures. Those who live near train tracks can identify different types of trains, their speed, and even their cargo load through the specific patterns of vibrations they create. But there's a concerning aspect to modern life and seismic sensitivity. Just as we're becoming disconnected from many of our other hidden senses, our seismic awareness is also being dulled by contemporary living conditions. We spend most of our time in buildings that isolate us from direct ground contact. We wear shoes with thick, vibration-dampening soles that reduce the seismic information reaching our feet. We live in environments filled with constant mechanical noise that can overwhelm subtle natural vibrations. Many people have become so disconnected from their seismic sense that they've lost the ability to detect important environmental information that was once crucial for survival. The good news is that seismic sensitivity, like other hidden senses, can be redeveloped and enhanced through practice and attention. Martial artists have long understood the importance of feeling vibrations through their feet and using this information to anticipate their opponent's movements. Rock climbers develop extraordinary sensitivity to vibrations in stone that help them assess the stability of holds and detect potential rockfall. Even simple practices like walking barefoot on natural surfaces, paying attention to the vibrations you feel when vehicles pass by, or practicing standing meditation while focusing on the subtle sensations coming through your feet can help reawaken this ancient sense. The technological applications of understanding human seismic sensitivity are just beginning to be explored. Engineers are studying how sensitive individuals detect structural problems in buildings through subtle vibrations that instruments might miss. Search and rescue teams are investigating how enhanced seismic sensitivity could help locate survivors trapped under debris. Even in space exploration, understanding how humans detect and interpret vibrations is crucial for designing systems that will allow astronauts to maintain situational awareness in environments where traditional senses might be compromised. What's particularly intriguing is the connection between seismic sensitivity and overall body awareness. People who develop better sensitivity to vibrations often report improvements in balance, coordination, and general physical confidence. This makes sense when you consider that vibrational information contributes to your overall understanding of your environment and your place within it. When you can feel the solid ground beneath your feet, when you can sense the stability of the surfaces you're walking on, when you can detect changes in your physical environment through subtle vibrations, you move through the world with greater confidence and awareness. The social implications of seismic sensing are also worth considering. In crowded environments, sensitive individuals can often detect the movement patterns of groups of people through the complex vibrational signatures created by multiple footsteps. This ability contributes to spatial awareness and can be crucial for navigation in crowded or chaotic situations. Some people describe being able to sense the energy of a crowd or gathering, which may partly reflect their unconscious processing of the collective vibrational patterns created by large groups of people. As we continue our exploration of your hidden sensory world, remember that your seismic sense is connecting you to the Earth itself in ways that span millions of years of evolution. Every step you take, every surface you touch, every vibration that travels through the ground to reach you is part of an ancient conversation between your body and the physical world around you. This sense grounds you, quite literally, in your environment and provides a foundation for awareness that extends far beyond what your eyes and ears can detect. The invisible force detector. From the vibrations traveling through solid matter, we now venture into an even more mysterious realm of human sensing. Your ability to detect and respond to forces that are completely invisible, utterly silent, and yet constantly surrounding you every moment of your existence. We're talking about magnetoreception, your capacity to sense the Earth's magnetic field. And this might be the most controversial and fascinating of all your hidden senses. Right now, as you're absorbing this information, invisible magnetic field lines are passing through your body, and there's mounting scientific evidence that you might actually be able to detect them, process them, and even use them for navigation in ways that would make you a living, breathing biological compass. The story of human magnetoreception begins with a discovery that sounds like science fiction, but is absolutely real. Scattered throughout your brain and nasal cavity are microscopic crystals of magnetite, the same magnetic mineral that ancient sailors used in the world's first compasses. These aren't just random deposits. They're organized structures that appear to be specifically positioned to interact with magnetic fields. When researchers first discovered these magnetite crystals in human tissue back in the 1990s, it sent shock waves through the scientific community because it suggested that humans might possess the same type of magnetic sensing abilities that had already been documented in birds, sea turtles, salmon, and dozens of other species that navigate using the Earth's magnetic field. But here's where the story gets even more intriguing. The magnetite crystals in your brain aren't just sitting there passively. They're connected to your nervous system through what appears to be a sophisticated biological sensing network. These crystals are so perfectly formed and precisely positioned that they can detect changes in magnetic field strength and direction that are far more subtle than anything our most sensitive artificial magnetometers could register just a few decades ago. We're talking about sensitivity to magnetic field variations that are literally millions of times weaker than the field produced by a typical refrigerator magnet. The implications of this discovery have been profound and controversial. If humans can indeed sense magnetic fields, it would explain a lot of mysterious phenomena that people have reported throughout history. That uncanny ability some people have to maintain their sense of direction, even in unfamiliar territory, that might be unconscious magnetic field detection. Those stories of people who seem to have an innate sense of which way is home, even when they're completely lost. That could be biological compass navigation. The reports from pilots and sailors about sensing their direction even when their instruments fail. That might be magnetoreception in action. Recent research has provided some remarkable evidence for human magnetic sensitivity. In controlled laboratory experiments, scientists have found that people can perform certain navigation tasks with surprising accuracy even when they're blindfolded, wearing noise-canceling headphones, and placed in environments where all traditional sensory cues have been eliminated. Even more fascinating, when researchers create artificial magnetic fields that interfere with the Earth's natural field, people's performance on these tasks becomes significantly worse. This suggests that we're unconsciously using magnetic information to maintain our spatial orientation, even when we think we're relying entirely on other senses. The geographic variation in human magnetic sensitivity is one of the most compelling pieces of evidence for this sense. Studies have shown that people who live in areas with stronger magnetic field anomalies, places where the Earth's field is distorted by underground mineral deposits or geological formations, often show enhanced performance on spatial orientation tasks. It's as if living in a magnetically complex environment trains this sense, making it stronger and more refined through constant use. This geographic effect also explains why some cultures have developed remarkable traditional navigation abilities, while others seem to rely more heavily on visual landmarks and other cues. What's particularly fascinating is how this sense might interact with your other hidden senses to create a comprehensive environmental awareness system. Your magnetoreception doesn't operate in isolation. It appears to be integrated with your vestibular system, your proprioceptive awareness, and even your visual processing to create what scientists call a multimodal spatial representation. This means your brain is constantly combining magnetic information with data from your inner ear, your body position sensors, and your eyes to maintain an incredibly sophisticated understanding of where you are and which direction you're facing. The evolutionary perspective on human magnetoreception is compelling when you consider our species' history of long-distance migration and navigation. Our ancestors didn't have GPS, compasses, or detailed maps, yet they successfully navigated across continents, crossed vast oceans, and found their way through trackless wilderness areas with remarkable consistency. While much of this navigation ability was certainly based on reading natural signs like star positions, wind patterns, and landscape features, there's growing evidence that magnetic sensitivity played a crucial supporting role in these extraordinary journeys. Modern research is revealing that magnetoreception might be more complex and nuanced than anyone initially imagined. Rather than functioning like a simple compass that always points north, your magnetic sense appears to provide information about magnetic field gradients, variations, and anomalies that create a unique magnetic fingerprint for different locations. This means you might not just be detecting which way is magnetic north. You might be sensing the specific magnetic characteristics that distinguish one place from another, essentially creating a magnetic map of familiar territories. The interference patterns created by modern technology present both challenges and opportunities for understanding human magnetoreception. Our electromagnetic environment is vastly different from what our ancestors experienced. Power lines, electronic devices, radio transmissions, and countless other sources of artificial electromagnetic fields create a complex background of interference that might be drowning out subtle natural magnetic signals. Some researchers suggest that this electromagnetic pollution is one reason why many people seem to have lost touch with their innate navigation abilities. However, there's also evidence that some individuals have maintained or even enhanced their magnetic sensitivity despite living in electromagnetically noisy environments. Professional navigators, wilderness guides, and people who spend significant time in natural settings often demonstrate remarkable abilities to maintain orientation and find their way in challenging conditions. These individuals might have learned to filter out electromagnetic interference and focus on the subtle, natural magnetic signals that are still available. The connection between magnetoreception and circadian rhythms represents another fascinating area of research. Your body's internal biological clock appears to be influenced by magnetic field variations, which makes sense when you consider that the Earth's magnetic field undergoes predictable daily variations as our planet rotates. Some studies suggest that people with stronger magnetic sensitivity also tend to have more stable sleep-wake cycles and better adaptation to changes in time zones, as if their magnetic sense helps synchronize their internal clocks with planetary rhythms. The practical applications of understanding human magnetoreception are just beginning to be explored. Military and aviation researchers are investigating how magnetic sensitivity training might enhance navigation abilities in situations where electronic systems are compromised. Search and rescue organizations are studying whether some individuals' natural magnetic sensitivity might help them navigate more effectively in wilderness emergencies. Even in everyday life, understanding your potential magnetic sensitivity could help you develop better natural navigation skills and reduce dependence on GPS technology. Training and enhancing magnetoreception presents unique challenges because this sense operates largely below the threshold of conscious awareness. Unlike proprioception or interoception, which you can learn to perceive directly, magnetoreception appears to influence your behavior and decision-making through unconscious pathways. However, some promising approaches are emerging from research on meditation, spatial awareness training, and exposure to natural environments with minimal electromagnetic interference. What's particularly intriguing is the individual variation in magnetic sensitivity. Just as people vary in their visual acuity or hearing sensitivity, there appear to be significant differences in how well different individuals can detect and use magnetic information. Some people seem to be natural magnetic navigators, maintaining excellent spatial orientation even in challenging conditions, while others rely almost entirely on visual and other sensory cues. Understanding these individual differences could help us develop personalized approaches to navigation training and spatial awareness development. The philosophical implications of human magnetoreception are profound when you consider what it means to be connected to planetary forces in such an intimate way. If you can indeed sense the Earth's magnetic field, then you're not just living on the planet. You're participating in a continuous electromagnetic dialogue with the very forces that shape our world. This connection spans millions of years of evolution and links you to migration patterns, geological processes, and planetary dynamics in ways that make you truly a child of the Earth. As we continue exploring your hidden senses, remember that magnetoreception represents your connection to forces that operate on a planetary scale, linking you to navigation systems that have guided life on Earth for millions of years. Whether you're consciously aware of it or not, you may be carrying within you a biological compass that connects you to the very magnetic heart of our planet, the chemical time machine. From the invisible magnetic forces that surround you, we now descend into an even more intimate and primitive realm of human sensing, one that operates through the ancient language of chemistry itself and connects you to other human beings in ways that bypass your conscious mind entirely. We're talking about your vomeronasal system and your extraordinary ability to detect and respond to chemical signals, pheromones, and molecular information that tells stories about emotions, health, genetic compatibility, and social dynamics. This is perhaps the most deeply buried of all your hidden senses, yet it may be influencing your relationships, attractions, decisions, and social behavior in ways that would astound you if you knew the full extent of its power. The story of human chemical communication begins with a small, mysterious organ that most people don't even know they possess. Tucked away in your nasal cavity, behind a tiny pit just inside each nostril, lies the remnant of what was once one of our most powerful sensory systems, the vomeronasal organ, also known as Jacobson's organ. In many mammals, this organ is large, active, and crucial for detecting pheromones and other chemical signals. In humans, it exists in a reduced form that scientists long believed to be completely vestigial, a useless evolutionary leftover with no function. But recent research is revealing a far more complex and fascinating story. While your vomeronasal organ may be smaller and less obvious than in other mammals, it's not completely inactive. Advanced molecular biology techniques have revealed that this tiny structure contains specialized receptors that can detect certain types of chemical compounds, particularly those related to human body chemistry. Even more intriguingly, these receptors are connected through neural pathways directly to your limbic system, the ancient brain regions that control emotions, memory, and instinctive responses. This means that chemical information detected by your vomeronasal system can influence your feelings and behavior without ever reaching your conscious awareness. But the story of human chemical sensing extends far beyond this one small organ. Your entire olfactory system, your sense of smell, is actually a sophisticated chemical analysis laboratory that can detect and identify thousands of different molecular compounds. What most people don't realize is that much of the chemical information your nose processes isn't about identifying obvious scents, like flowers or food. Instead, you're constantly sampling the chemical signatures of other human beings, and this information is profoundly influencing your social interactions, emotional responses, and even your physiological state. Every person you encounter is constantly releasing a complex chemical signature into the air around them. These molecules carry information about their genetic makeup, their current health status, their emotional state, their hormone levels, and even their immune system function. When you breathe in air that contains these chemical messages, your olfactory system doesn't just detect them, it analyzes them, compares them to stored patterns, and generates responses that can affect everything from your mood to your attraction to that person. This is happening continuously, below the threshold of conscious awareness, creating a hidden layer of chemical communication that shapes your social world in ways you never imagined. The most well-documented example of this chemical communication involves what scientists call the major histocompatibility complex, or MHC. This is a set of genes that plays a crucial role in immune system function, and remarkably, people can detect information about others' MHC genes through chemical cues. Research has shown that people are typically more attracted to individuals whose MHC genes are different from their own, a preference that makes evolutionary sense because children with parents who have different MHC genes tend to have stronger, more diverse immune systems. This attraction happens through unconscious chemical detection, meaning you might be drawn to certain people partly because your nose is telling you they would be genetically compatible partners. The phenomenon becomes even more fascinating when we consider how chemical communication affects existing relationships. Partners in long-term relationships develop what researchers call chemical familiarity. They become accustomed to each other's unique chemical signatures, and this familiarity becomes associated with comfort, safety, and emotional bonding. This is why you might find your partner's scent comforting even when they haven't showered, or why wearing a piece of their clothing can be emotionally soothing when you're apart. Your chemical sensing system has learned to associate their molecular signature with positive emotions and security. But chemical communication isn't limited to romantic relationships. There's growing evidence that families develop shared chemical signatures that help reinforce social bonds. Mothers can identify their newborn babies by scent alone within hours of birth, and babies show clear preferences for their mother's chemical signature over that of other women. Siblings often share certain chemical characteristics that may contribute to family bonding, and there's even evidence that people living together for extended periods can develop some chemical synchronization, possibly contributing to the phenomenon where roommates or family members find their biological rhythms becoming aligned. The emotional dimension of chemical sensing is particularly profound. Your ability to detect chemical signals related to fear, stress, happiness, and other emotional states means you're constantly receiving subliminal information about the emotional climate of your environment. When someone near you is anxious or afraid, chemical compounds released through their breath, skin, and bodily secretions can actually trigger similar emotional responses in you, even if you have no conscious knowledge of their emotional state. This chemical empathy may be one of the biological foundations of emotional contagion, the way emotions spread through groups of people. Recent research has revealed that chemical communication can even affect cognitive performance and decision-making. Studies show that people exposed to chemical stress signals from others show decreased performance on certain mental tasks, while exposure to chemical signals associated with confidence and competence can actually enhance performance. This suggests that the chemical environment created by the people around you may be influencing your thinking and problem-solving abilities in subtle but measurable ways. The health implications of chemical sensing are beginning to be understood and are quite remarkable. There's evidence that people can detect early signs of illness in others through chemical cues long before obvious symptoms appear. Dogs have been trained to detect certain diseases like cancer and diabetes through scent, but humans may have similar capabilities that we've simply learned to ignore. Some people report being able to sense when family members are getting sick. And there may be a biological basis for these intuitions based on subtle changes in body chemistry that your nose can detect. Your chemical sensing system also appears to play a role in social hierarchy and group dynamics. Research suggests that people can detect information about social status, confidence levels, and dominance through chemical cues. This might explain why some people seem to have a natural presence or charisma that others respond to immediately. They may be releasing chemical signals that communicate confidence and social competence. Similarly, chemical signals associated with submission or insecurity might make some people seem less attractive or influential in social situations. The modern world presents unique challenges to our chemical communication systems. We live in environments filled with artificial scents, deodorants, perfumes, and cleaning products that can mask or interfere with natural chemical signals. We spend much of our time indoors with filtered air that reduces the chemical information available in our environment. We've developed cultural norms that discourage natural body odors and chemical expression, potentially disrupting millions of years of evolved chemical communication systems. Yet there's evidence that even in our modern, chemically complex environment, these ancient systems continue to operate. People still report inexplicable attractions or aversions to others that may be based on chemical compatibility. The perfume and fragrance industry, worth billions of dollars globally, may represent our cultural attempt to enhance or manipulate our natural chemical communication systems. Even our preferences for certain artificial scents may be influenced by how they interact with our natural chemical signatures. The individual variation in chemical sensing ability is enormous and largely unrecognized. Some people seem to be highly sensitive to chemical cues from others, picking up on emotional states, health changes, or social dynamics through unconscious chemical detection. Others appear to be relatively insensitive to these signals, relying more heavily on visual and auditory social cues. This variation in chemical sensitivity may contribute to differences in social intuition, emotional intelligence, and relationship success. Training and enhancing chemical sensitivity presents unique challenges because so much of this processing happens below conscious awareness. However, some practices may help strengthen your chemical sensing abilities. Spending time in natural environments with clean air can help recalibrate your system to detect subtle chemical signals. Reducing your use of artificial fragrances and scented products may allow your natural chemical communication systems to function more effectively. Meditation and mindfulness practices that increase body awareness might help you become more conscious of the subtle influences of chemical cues on your emotions and responses. The cultural implications of human chemical communication are profound when we consider how much of our social behavior may be influenced by chemical signals we don't consciously recognize. Our preferences for certain people, our comfort levels in different social situations, our emotional responses to crowds or intimate gatherings, all of these may be partially shaped by the complex chemical conversations happening around us every moment. As we continue our exploration of hidden senses, remember that chemical communication represents one of the most ancient forms of biological information exchange, connecting you to other humans through molecular messages that have been shaping social behavior for millions of years. Every breath you take is sampling the chemical stories of those around you, and every breath you exhale is telling your own chemical story to anyone sensitive enough to detect it. Yet the electric field reader, from the molecular world of chemical communication, we now enter perhaps the most futuristic and mind-bending realm of human sensory capability. Your ability to detect and respond to electrical fields and bioelectric energy patterns that surround every living thing. This is electroreception, and while it might sound like something out of a science fiction movie, the reality is that you're surrounded by electrical fields every moment of your existence, and there's compelling evidence that your nervous system can detect, process, and respond to these invisible electrical signatures in ways that could explain some of the most mysterious aspects of human intuition and social awareness. Every living cell in your body is essentially a tiny biological battery, generating electrical potentials across its membrane through the movement of charged ions like sodium, potassium, and calcium. When you multiply this by the trillions of cells in your body, you create a complex, dynamic electrical field that extends beyond your skin and into the space around you. This bioelectric field is unique to you, as individual as your fingerprint, and it's constantly fluctuating based on your heart rate, breathing patterns, muscle tension, neural activity, and even your emotional state. But here's the remarkable part. Just as you're generating this electrical signature, you're also potentially capable of detecting the electrical signatures generated by other living things around you. The scientific foundation for human electroreception begins with understanding how your nervous system itself operates. Every thought you think, every movement you make, every heartbeat and breath involves the flow of electrical current through your tissues. Your brain generates measurable electrical activity that can be detected by sensitive equipment from outside your skull. This is the principle behind EEG machines that monitor brain waves. Your heart produces electrical signals so strong that they can be detected several feet away from your body using sensitive magnetometers. If external machines can detect these electrical signals from your body, it raises the fascinating possibility that your own nervous system might be sensitive enough to detect similar signals from other people. The evidence for human electroreception comes from multiple sources, and while it's still a developing field of research, the findings are consistently intriguing. Studies using highly sensitive electrical measurement equipment have shown that people can sometimes detect the presence of other individuals in controlled environments, even when all traditional sensory cues have been eliminated. No sight, sound, smell, or touch. Even more remarkably, some people show measurable changes in their own bioelectric activity when another person enters their vicinity, suggesting that their nervous system is responding to the electrical field generated by the other person. What makes this sense particularly fascinating is how it might operate through your existing nervous system infrastructure. Your body is already an incredibly sophisticated electrical detection system. Every nerve fiber, every muscle cell, every neuron is designed to detect and respond to electrical signals. It's possible that this same biological machinery that allows your nervous system to function internally might also be sensitive enough to detect electrical fields from external sources. This would mean that electroreception isn't a separate sense organ like your eyes or ears, but rather an extension of your existing neural capabilities into the electromagnetic environment around you. The range and sensitivity of potential human electroreception are still being studied, but the research suggests capabilities that are far more refined than most people would imagine. Some individuals appear to be able to detect changes in electrical fields at distances of several feet, and the sensitivity may be comparable to that found in animals known for their electroreceptive abilities. Sharks, for example, can detect the electrical fields generated by the gills of fish from several feet away, allowing them to hunt effectively even in murky water. While human electroreception likely isn't as refined as a shark's, the basic biological principles may be surprisingly similar. The emotional and social implications of electroreception are profound when you consider how this sense might influence your relationships and social interactions. Your emotional state directly affects your bioelectric field. Stress, excitement, calm, and other emotions create distinctive patterns of electrical activity throughout your body. If you can detect these electrical patterns in others, it would provide a direct, unfiltered channel of emotional information that bypasses language, facial expressions, and other conventional social cues. This could explain those moments when you instantly sense someone's mood or emotional state even when they're trying to hide it, or when you feel an immediate connection or aversion to someone you've just met. The phenomenon of personal space takes on new meaning when viewed through the lens of electroreception. Everyone has an intuitive sense of their personal space, that invisible boundary around their body where they feel comfortable or uncomfortable based on how close others are. While we usually think of this in terms of cultural norms and psychological factors, it's possible that personal space preferences are partly based on the range at which you can detect others' bioelectric fields. When someone enters your bioelectric detection zone, your nervous system may register their presence even before you're consciously aware of them, contributing to feelings of comfort or discomfort based on whether their electrical signature feels harmonious or disruptive to your own. The research on electroreception and healing practices opens up fascinating possibilities for understanding traditional therapeutic approaches. Many ancient healing traditions involve practitioners placing their hands near or on patients' bodies, often reporting that they can sense energy fields, blockages, or imbalances. While these practices have often been dismissed as placebo effects or wishful thinking, the growing understanding of human bioelectric fields suggests there may be measurable physical phenomena underlying these traditions. If skilled practitioners have developed enhanced sensitivity to electrical fields, they might indeed be detecting real changes in their patients' bioelectric patterns that correlate with health, stress, or other physiological states. The connection between electroreception and intuition represents one of the most intriguing aspects of this hidden sense. Many people report having gut feelings about situations or people that turn out to be accurate, but these intuitions often seem to come from nowhere with no logical basis. If you're unconsciously detecting electrical field information from your environment, it could provide a biological foundation for these seemingly mysterious insights. Changes in the electrical environment around you might signal danger, opportunity, or important social dynamics that your conscious mind hasn't yet recognized, but that your electroreceptive abilities have detected and processed into intuitive feelings or hunches. Modern technology presents both challenges and opportunities for understanding and developing electroreception. Our environment is filled with artificial electrical and electromagnetic fields from power lines, electronic devices, wireless communications, and countless other sources. This electromagnetic pollution may be overwhelming our natural electroreceptive abilities, making it harder to detect the subtle bioelectric signals from living organisms. However, Some researchers are exploring whether this same technology could be used to enhance human electroreception, perhaps through training programs that help people learn to distinguish between artificial and biological electrical signals. The individual variation in electroreceptive sensitivity appears to be enormous, though it's still poorly understood. Some people seem to be naturally highly sensitive to electrical fields, reporting that they can sense the presence of others even when they can't see or hear them, or that they experience discomfort around certain types of electrical equipment. Others show little apparent sensitivity to electrical environments. This variation might be partly genetic, partly based on training and experience, and partly related to overall nervous system sensitivity. Understanding these individual differences could help identify people with natural electroreceptive talents and develop training methods to enhance these abilities in others. The practical applications of enhanced electroreception could be significant in various fields. Security. Personnel might benefit from training that helps them detect concealed individuals through bioelectric signatures. Healthcare providers might learn to use electroreceptive awareness as an additional diagnostic tool. Even in everyday social situations, understanding your electroreceptive responses could help you make better decisions about relationships, environments, and social dynamics based on information your nervous system is already collecting, but that you're not consciously processing. Training and development of electroreceptive abilities present unique challenges because this sense operates largely below the threshold of conscious awareness. However, some approaches show promise for enhancing sensitivity to electrical fields. Meditation practices that increase body awareness and nervous system sensitivity might help develop electroreceptive capabilities. Spending time in electromagnetically quiet environments, away from artificial electrical fields, might help recalibrate your system to detect subtle bioelectric signals. Some practitioners of martial arts and energy work report enhanced sensitivity to others' presence and energy fields, which may reflect developed electroreceptive abilities. The philosophical implications of electroreception are striking when you consider what it means to be electrically connected to other living beings. If you can indeed sense the bioelectric fields of others, then you're not just a separate individual moving through the world. You're part of an interconnected electrical network that links all living things. This electrical connectedness spans not just humans, but potentially all biological organisms, creating a hidden level of communication and awareness that operates continuously in the background of your experience. The evolutionary perspective on human electroreception suggests this ability may have provided significant survival advantages throughout our species' history. The ability to detect the bioelectric signatures of other humans could have helped our ancestors identify friend or foe, detect the emotional states of group members, or sense the presence of concealed individuals. In dangerous environments, being able to detect the electrical activity of predators or prey could have meant the difference between life and death. As we continue exploring your hidden sensory world, remember that electroreception represents your connection to the fundamental electrical nature of life itself. Every living cell generates electrical activity, and if you can sense these electrical patterns, you're tuned into one of the most basic and universal aspects of biological existence. This sense links you not just to other humans, but to the electrical symphony that underlies all life on Earth. The atmospheric pressure profit. From the electrical fields that connect you to other living beings, We now turn our attention to a hidden sense that links you directly to the massive atmospheric forces surrounding our planet. Your remarkable ability to detect changes in barometric pressure and predict weather patterns with an accuracy that often surpasses sophisticated meteorological equipment. This is your barometric sense. And right now, as you're engaged with this content, your body is continuously monitoring the weight of the entire atmosphere pressing down on you, detecting subtle fluctuations in air pressure that carry information about weather systems hundreds or even thousands of miles away. What's truly extraordinary is that this atmospheric awareness doesn't just tell you about coming weather. It's intimately connected to your physiology, your mood, your pain levels, and even your cognitive performance in ways that make you a living, breathing barometer. The foundation of human barometric sensitivity lies in the fact that your body is essentially a collection of fluid-filled chambers surrounded by membranes that respond to pressure changes. Every cell in your body contains fluid that's in delicate pressure equilibrium with your surroundings. And when atmospheric pressure changes, even slightly, it creates measurable effects throughout your biological systems. Your inner ears contain fluid-filled chambers that are exquisitely sensitive to pressure variations. These same structures that help you maintain balance are also constantly monitoring atmospheric pressure changes. Your sinuses, joints, blood vessels, and even the cerebrospinal fluid surrounding your brain all respond to barometric fluctuations, creating a full-body atmospheric sensing network that's been refined over millions of years of evolution. The sensitivity of this system is absolutely remarkable when you consider what your body is actually detecting. Atmospheric pressure at sea level averages about 14.7 pounds per square inch, which means the atmosphere is pressing down on your body with a force of roughly 15 tons. When a weather system approaches, this pressure can change by several percentage points, and your body can detect variations far smaller than what would register on most household barometers. Some people can sense pressure changes of less than 1/10 of 1%, which translates to detecting the approach of weather systems while they're still dozens or even hundreds of miles away. The connection between barometric pressure and joint pain is one of the most well-documented examples of human atmospheric sensitivity. For centuries, people have reported that their arthritis, old injuries, or other joint problems become more painful before storms or weather changes. This isn't just folklore or imagination. There's solid scientific evidence for this phenomenon. When atmospheric pressure drops, as it typically does before storms, it reduces the external pressure on your joints while the internal pressure remains the same. This pressure differential can cause joint capsules to expand slightly, potentially irritating nerve endings and creating the sensation of increased pain or stiffness. But it goes beyond just mechanical effects. Pressure changes also appear to affect inflammation levels, blood flow, and nerve sensitivity in ways that can amplify pain sensations. Your cardiovascular system represents another fascinating aspect of barometric sensitivity. Blood pressure naturally fluctuates with atmospheric pressure changes because your circulatory system is essentially a closed hydraulic network that responds to external pressure variations. When atmospheric pressure drops, your blood vessels may expand slightly, potentially affecting circulation and contributing to headaches, fatigue, or changes in cognitive performance. Some people are so sensitive to these cardiovascular effects of pressure changes that they can predict weather fronts based purely on how they feel physically, often with remarkable accuracy. The neurological effects of barometric pressure changes extend far beyond just physical sensations. Research has shown that atmospheric pressure fluctuations can affect brain chemistry, particularly the levels of neurotransmitters like serotonin that regulate mood and cognitive function. This might explain why some people experience what's often called weather sensitivity, changes in mood, energy levels, or mental clarity that coincide with approaching weather systems. The phenomenon of seasonal affective disorder might be partly related to the barometric pressure patterns associated with different weather systems throughout the year. What makes human barometric sensitivity particularly remarkable is how it connects you to massive atmospheric dynamics happening across enormous distances. When you sense an approaching storm through pressure changes, you're detecting the effects of weather systems that might span hundreds of thousands of square miles. High and low pressure systems are essentially vast atmospheric rivers and mountains of air that move across the planet, and your body can detect their approach long before they reach your location. This gives you access to weather information that covers a much larger geographic area than what you could observe through visual cues alone. The evolutionary importance of barometric sensitivity cannot be overstated. For our ancestors, living without the protection of modern buildings and weather forecasting, the ability to predict storms, temperature changes, and other weather phenomena could literally mean the difference between life and death. Those who could sense approaching storms had time to seek shelter, gather food, or move to safer locations. Those who could predict seasonal weather changes could better plan for migrations, food storage, or other survival activities. This atmospheric awareness was so crucial for survival that it became deeply embedded in our biology, creating the sophisticated pressure sensing systems we still possess today. The geographic and seasonal variations in barometric sensitivity reveal fascinating patterns in how this sense operates. People living in areas with highly variable weather patterns often develop enhanced sensitivity to pressure changes, as if their systems become calibrated to the atmospheric dynamics of their environment. Mountain dwellers frequently show remarkable abilities to predict weather changes, partly because elevation changes create more dramatic pressure variations that train their barometric sensing systems. Coastal populations often develop sensitivity to the unique pressure patterns associated with marine weather systems, while those in continental interiors may be more attuned to the pressure signatures of land-based weather phenomena. Modern meteorology has given us incredible insights into how accurate human barometric sensing can be. Professional weather forecasters increasingly recognize that local weather sensitivity among populations can provide valuable information that complements their technological instruments. There are documented cases of communities predicting severe weather events hours or even days before official forecasts, based on collective reports of physical symptoms, mood changes, and other indicators of atmospheric pressure variations. This folk meteorology isn't superstition. It's sophisticated biological sensing that taps into atmospheric information that instruments might miss or misinterpret. The connection between barometric pressure and sleep patterns represents another crucial aspect of atmospheric sensitivity. Many people report changes in sleep quality, dreams, or sleep timing that correlate with weather changes, And there's growing evidence that pressure fluctuations can affect circadian rhythms and sleep architecture. This might be because the same brain regions that regulate sleep and circadian timing are also involved in processing pressure information. Changes in atmospheric pressure may influence melatonin production, body temperature regulation, and other physiological processes that control sleep-wake cycles. Your respiratory system provides yet another channel for barometric sensing that most people never consider. Changes in atmospheric pressure affect the density and oxygen content of the air you breathe, and your respiratory system has sophisticated mechanisms for detecting these variations. When pressure drops, air becomes less dense, which can affect oxygen delivery to your tissues and potentially trigger responses in people with respiratory sensitivities. Some individuals report changes in breathing patterns, lung capacity, or respiratory comfort that precede weather changes by hours or days. The individual variation in barometric sensitivity is enormous and poorly understood by conventional medicine. Some people seem to be walking weather stations, accurately predicting storms, temperature changes, and atmospheric conditions through their physical sensations. Others appear to be relatively insensitive to pressure changes and rely primarily on external weather information. This variation might be partly genetic, partly based on early life experiences and environmental exposures, and partly related to overall nervous system sensitivity and body awareness. The modern challenge of maintaining barometric sensitivity in an artificially climate-controlled world presents interesting considerations for this ancient sense. We spend most of our time in buildings with heating, air conditioning, and pressurization systems that buffer us from natural atmospheric variations. This constant environmental control might be reducing our sensitivity to natural pressure changes, potentially diminishing an important source of environmental information that helped our ancestors survive. However, many people still maintain significant barometric sensitivity despite living in controlled environments, suggesting this sense is robust and persistent. Training and enhancing barometric sensitivity involves developing greater awareness of subtle physical sensations and their correlation with weather patterns. Keeping a simple journal of physical symptoms, mood changes, and energy levels alongside local weather data can help you identify your personal patterns of atmospheric sensitivity. Some people find that meditation, body awareness practices, and time spent in natural environments help enhance their sensitivity to pressure changes. Learning to distinguish between the effects of atmospheric pressure and other factors affecting your physical and mental state can help you become more accurate in interpreting your body's atmospheric signals. The technological applications of understanding human barometric sensitivity are beginning to be explored in various fields. Emergency management agencies are investigating how community reports of weather sensitivity might complement traditional forecasting methods. Healthcare providers are starting to consider atmospheric pressure as a factor in treatment planning for patients with pressure-sensitive conditions. Even in agriculture and outdoor industries, understanding how atmospheric pressure affects both workers and operations could lead to better planning and safety protocols. The philosophical implications of barometric sensitivity connect you to the vast atmospheric dynamics that shape our planet's climate and weather systems. When you sense changes in atmospheric pressure, you're tuning into planetary scale forces that involve the movement of massive air masses, the rotation of the Earth, and the complex interactions between solar heating, ocean currents, and atmospheric circulation. This connects you to the fundamental atmospheric processes that make life on Earth possible and that have shaped the evolution of all terrestrial organisms. As we continue our exploration of hidden senses, remember that your barometric sensitivity links you to the atmospheric envelope that surrounds our planet and makes life possible. Every breath you take exists within this vast atmospheric system, and your ability to sense its changes connects you to weather patterns, seasonal cycles, and atmospheric dynamics that span the globe. This ancient sense continues to provide valuable information about your environment, even in our modern, technologically sophisticated world. The biological stopwatch. From the atmospheric forces that connect you to planetary weather systems, we now venture into perhaps the most mysterious and personally intimate of all your hidden senses, your extraordinary ability to perceive, measure, and navigate through time itself. This is chronoception, your biological sense of time, and it's operating right now as you process these words, creating your subjective experience of duration, sequence, and temporal flow that shapes every moment of your conscious existence. What makes this sense absolutely fascinating is that time, unlike light or sound or pressure, has no physical substance that your body can directly detect. Yet somehow, your nervous system has evolved incredibly sophisticated mechanisms for tracking time's passage with remarkable precision, creating internal clocks that rival the most advanced atomic timepieces ever created by human technology. The foundation of your temporal sensing ability lies in what scientists call your circadian timing system, a complex network of biological clocks that operate at multiple levels throughout your body. At the center of this system sits your master biological clock, located in a tiny region of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which contains about 20,000 specialized neurons that generate rhythmic electrical activity with a period of approximately 24 hours. But this master clock is just the conductor of a vast temporal orchestra. Nearly every cell in your body contains its own molecular clockwork, creating a hierarchy of timing systems that coordinate everything from your sleep-wake cycles to your hormone production, body temperature regulation, and even the timing of DNA repair processes. What's absolutely remarkable about your biological timekeeping is how it operates independently of external time cues. If you were placed in a completely isolated environment with no access to sunlight, clocks, or any other temporal references, your internal timing system would continue to run with surprising accuracy, maintaining approximately 24-hour cycles for weeks or even months. This demonstrates that chronoception isn't just about responding to external time signals. You have an intrinsic ability to generate temporal awareness from within your own biology. Your brain is literally creating time perception through the coordinated activity of millions of neurons, firing in complex rhythmic patterns. But chronoception extends far beyond just circadian rhythms into what neuroscientists call interval timing. Your ability to estimate and track periods of seconds, minutes, and hours with remarkable precision. Right now, you have an intuitive sense of how long you've been watching this video, roughly how much time has passed since you started, and approximately how much longer it might continue. This temporal awareness doesn't require you to consciously count seconds or refer to a clock. Your brain is automatically tracking time's passage through mechanisms that are still being discovered and understood by researchers. The neurological basis of interval timing appears to involve multiple brain networks working together to create your subjective experience of duration. Your basal ganglia, particularly regions called the caudate nucleus and putamen, seem to play crucial roles in timing movements and estimating short intervals. Your cerebellum contributes to the precise timing of motor actions and learned sequences. Your prefrontal cortex is involved in longer-term temporal planning and the conscious awareness of time's passage. These regions work together to create what researchers call your temporal map, an ongoing neural representation of where you are in time and how events relate to each other temporally. One of the most fascinating aspects of chronoception is how dramatically it can be influenced by your emotional state, attention levels, and physiological condition. When you're in a state of high arousal, whether from fear, excitement, or intense focus, your perception of time often slows down, making seconds feel like minutes. This is why people often report that time seems to slow during car accidents, emergency situations, or other highly stressful events. Conversely, when you're engaged in enjoyable activities or absorbed in flow states, time seems to accelerate and hours can pass without you realizing it. This isn't just a psychological phenomenon. There are measurable changes in your brain's temporal processing networks that correspond to these altered time experiences. The developmental aspects of chronoception reveal how this sense changes throughout your lifespan in ways that profoundly affect your experience of existence. Children often have a very different relationship with time than adults. They live much more in the present moment and have difficulty with long-term temporal planning, partly because their temporal processing systems are still developing. As you age, many people report that time seems to accelerate, with years passing more quickly than they did in childhood. This might be because as you accumulate more life experiences, each new experience represents a smaller proportion of your total temporal database, making individual time periods feel relatively shorter compared to your overall temporal memory. Your chronoceptive abilities also include sophisticated pattern recognition for temporal sequences and rhythms. You can detect regular beats in music, anticipate the timing of familiar events, and even sense when something is happening off schedule in ways that don't require conscious timing. Musicians develop extraordinary temporal sensitivity that allows them to play complex rhythms, synchronize with other performers, and detect tiny variations in timing that would be imperceptible to most people. Athletes develop similar temporal precision for activities that require split-second timing coordination. The social dimensions of chronoception create fascinating interpersonal dynamics that most people never consciously recognize. When you interact with others, you're constantly engaged in temporal coordination, matching speaking rhythms, synchronizing movements, and establishing shared temporal frameworks for activities. People who are good at this temporal social coordination often seem more charismatic and easier to interact with, while those who struggle with social timing might seem awkward or difficult to connect with. There's even evidence that couples in successful relationships develop synchronized biological rhythms over time, creating shared temporal patterns that strengthen their bond. The cultural variations in time perception and chronoceptive expression reveal how this biological sense can be shaped by environmental and social factors. Some cultures emphasize precise temporal scheduling and punctuality, which may enhance certain aspects of chronoceptive awareness while potentially reducing others. Other cultures have more flexible relationships with time that might preserve different aspects of natural temporal sensitivity. Indigenous cultures often maintain temporal awareness systems based on natural cycles, seasonal patterns, and ecological rhythms that urban populations may have lost. Modern technology has created unprecedented challenges for your natural chronoceptive systems. Artificial lighting disrupts your circadian rhythms by interfering with the light-dark signals that help calibrate your biological clocks. Digital devices provide constant temporal references that might be making you more dependent on external time cues, while potentially weakening your internal timing abilities. The constant availability of stimulation and information can create temporal fragmentation, where your attention jumps between different time scales and temporal demands in ways that may be overwhelming your natural chronoceptive processing. The medical implications of chronoception are increasingly recognized as crucial for health and well-being. Disrupted chronoceptive function is associated with numerous health problems, including depression, anxiety, sleep disorders, metabolic dysfunction, and even increased risk of cancer. Shift workers, who must function against their natural circadian rhythms, show increased rates of various health problems that may be partly related to chronoceptive disruption. Understanding and supporting healthy chronoceptive function is becoming an important aspect of preventive medicine and therapeutic intervention. The individual variations in chronoceptive abilities are enormous and often unrecognized. Some people seem to be natural timekeepers, maintaining excellent temporal awareness and rarely needing clocks or external timing references. Others struggle with time management and temporal planning, possibly due to differences in their chronoceptive processing systems. These differences might be partly genetic, partly based on early life experiences, and partly related to lifestyle factors that affect chronoceptive development and function. Training and enhancing your chronoceptive abilities can have profound effects on your overall quality of life and cognitive performance. Meditation practices that involve sustained attention can improve your ability to track time intervals accurately. Regular sleep schedules and exposure to natural light patterns can strengthen your circadian timing systems. Activities that require precise timing, like music or dance, can enhance your interval timing abilities. Even simple practices, like occasionally estimating time intervals without referring to clocks, can help maintain and develop your natural chronoceptive sensitivity. The philosophical implications of chronoception are profound when you consider that this sense creates your fundamental experience of existence itself. Your perception of duration, sequence, and temporal flow shapes how you understand causality, plan for the future, remember the past, and experience the present moment. Without chronoception, you would have no sense of narrative continuity, no ability to understand the relationship between events, and no framework for organizing your experiences into meaningful patterns. The quantum mechanical aspects of time perception open up fascinating questions about the relationship between consciousness and physical reality. Some researchers suggest that consciousness itself might be fundamentally temporal in nature, and that your chronoceptive abilities might provide insights into the deep structure of time and reality that physics is still struggling to understand. The fact that you can create subjective temporal experiences that don't always match objective physical time suggests that consciousness might have a more complex relationship with time than traditional physics assumes. The future of chronoceptive research holds exciting possibilities for enhancing human temporal abilities and understanding the deeper nature of time perception. Scientists are exploring how virtual reality and other technologies might be used to train and enhance chronoceptive abilities. There's growing interest in how chronoceptive dysfunction might contribute to various psychological and neurological conditions, and how targeted interventions might help restore healthy temporal processing. As we continue exploring your hidden senses, remember that chronoception is the sense that creates your experience of existence itself, providing the temporal framework within which all your other senses operate. Every moment you experience, every memory you form, every plan you make depends on your brain's remarkable ability to create and navigate through subjective time. This sense doesn't just tell you what time it is. It creates your experience of being a temporal being moving through the flow of existence itself. The social radar system. From the temporal rhythms that govern your individual existence, we now explore perhaps the most complex and socially crucial of all your hidden senses, your extraordinary ability to detect, process, and respond to the intricate web of social dynamics, emotional states, power structures, and interpersonal connections that surround you every moment you're in the presence of other human beings. This is your social sensing system, and it operates through such sophisticated mechanisms that it makes the most advanced artificial intelligence systems seem primitive by comparison. Right now, if you're watching this in a space where other people are present, your brain is unconsciously conducting a real-time analysis of social hierarchies, emotional climates, alliance patterns, and interpersonal tensions that would require a supercomputer to process consciously. Yet you're doing it effortlessly and automatically through neural networks that have been refined over millions of years of human social evolution. The foundation of your social sensing abilities lies in what neuroscientists call your social brain, a network of specialized neural regions that evolved specifically to navigate the complex challenges of living in cooperative groups. This isn't just one area of your brain, but rather a distributed system that includes your temporal parietal junction for understanding others' perspectives, your superior temporal sulcus for processing biological motion and social cues, your fusiform face area for recognizing individual faces and expressions, and your mirror neuron system that allows you to unconsciously simulate and understand others' actions and intentions. These regions work together to create a sophisticated social radar that's constantly scanning your environment for information about the people around you. What makes your social sensing truly remarkable is how it operates through multiple sensory channels simultaneously, integrating information in ways that create insights far beyond what any single sense could provide. Your visual system is tracking micro-expressions that last just fractions of a second, detecting subtle changes in posture and body language that signal confidence, submission, anxiety, or aggression. Your auditory system is analyzing not just the words people speak, but the subtle variations in tone, rhythm, volume, and vocal quality that carry emotional and social information. Your chemical sensing system is detecting pheromones and other chemical signals that provide information about others' emotional states, health status, and even genetic compatibility. Your sense of touch and proximity is monitoring interpersonal distances, physical tensions, and the quality of physical interactions when they occur. But here's where social sensing becomes truly extraordinary. Your brain integrates all of this information and compares it to vast databases of social patterns you've accumulated throughout your lifetime, allowing you to make incredibly sophisticated social assessments in milliseconds. When you walk into a room full of people, you don't have to consciously analyze each person's expression, posture, and vocal patterns to understand the social dynamics. Your social sensing system processes all of this information automatically and presents you with immediate insights about who's in charge, who's comfortable or uncomfortable, where the tensions lie, which people are allies or rivals, and how you might fit into the existing social structure. The speed and accuracy of social sensing are genuinely mind-boggling when you consider the complexity of the information being processed. Within seconds of encountering someone new, you're making assessments about their personality, emotional state, social status, trustworthiness, intelligence, and dozens of other characteristics. Research shows that many of these rapid social judgments are surprisingly accurate, suggesting that your social sensing system has access to genuine information about others' internal states and characteristics through subtle cues that your conscious mind might not even notice. Mirror neurons represent one of the most fascinating components of your social sensing system. These specialized cells fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing the same action, essentially allowing you to neurally simulate others' experiences within your own brain. This creates a form of automatic empathy and understanding that operates below the level of conscious awareness. When you see someone reach for an object, your mirror neurons fire as if you were reaching for it yourself, allowing you to understand their intention and predict their next action. When you observe someone experiencing pain or pleasure, your mirror neurons create a diluted version of that experience in your own nervous system, contributing to emotional empathy and social bonding. The social hierarchy detection capabilities of your brain reveal just how sophisticated this sensing system really is. Humans, like most social mammals, naturally organize themselves into hierarchical structures, and you have specialized neural mechanisms for detecting and navigating these hierarchies. You can quickly assess relative social status through combinations of body language, vocal patterns, clothing choices, behavioral confidence, and how others respond to different individuals. This hierarchy sensing happens so automatically that you're often unaware of it, but it profoundly influences your behavior, emotions, and social strategies in every group interaction. Your ability to detect deception and hidden agendas represents another remarkable aspect of social sensing. When someone is lying or concealing their true intentions, their behavior often contains subtle inconsistencies that your social radar can detect even when you can't consciously identify what feels off about the interaction. These might include micro expressions that contradict their words, slight changes in vocal patterns, alterations in their usual body language, or tiny delays in their responses that suggest cognitive effort to construct false information. Your social sensing system processes all of these cues and often generates a gut feeling about someone's honesty or trustworthiness that's surprisingly accurate. The emotional contagion phenomenon demonstrates how your social sensing extends beyond just gathering information to actually synchronizing your internal states with those around you. When you're in the presence of someone who's anxious, excited, calm, or angry, you often begin to feel similar emotions yourself, even if you're not consciously aware of their emotional state. This happens through multiple pathways. You unconsciously mimic their facial expressions and body posture, which can trigger corresponding emotions in yourself through the facial feedback effect. You detect their emotional chemical signals through your olfactory system. Your mirror neurons fire in patterns that simulate their emotional experience. This emotional synchronization serves important social functions, creating bonds, facilitating cooperation, and helping groups coordinate their responses to challenges. The group dynamics, sensing capabilities of your social brain allow you to navigate complex multi-person social situations with remarkable skill. When you're in a group, you're simultaneously tracking multiple relationships, alliance patterns, communication flows, and power dynamics. You can sense when a group is cohesive or fragmented, when tensions are building, when leadership is shifting, or when consensus is forming. This group-level social sensing requires integrating information about numerous individuals and their relationships with each other, creating a real-time map of the social ecosystem you're operating within. Cultural variations in social sensing reveal how this universal human capability can be expressed and developed differently across different societies. Some cultures emphasize direct communication and explicit social signals, which might enhance certain aspects of social sensing while potentially reducing sensitivity to subtle, indirect cues. Other cultures rely heavily on implicit communication and social harmony, which can lead to highly refined abilities to detect subtle social tensions and unspoken dynamics. The social sensing abilities valued and developed in different cultures reflect their specific social structures and communication styles. Your social sensing system also includes sophisticated mechanisms for detecting and responding to social threats and opportunities. You can quickly identify individuals who might pose physical, social, or emotional dangers through combinations of behavioral cues, expression patterns, and social positioning. Conversely, you can also rapidly identify potential allies, romantic partners, or valuable social connections through positive social signals. This threat and opportunity detection happens largely automatically and influences your approach or avoidance behaviors in social situations. The development of social sensing abilities throughout your lifespan shows fascinating patterns of growth, specialization, and sometimes decline. Children begin developing social sensing capabilities very early, learning to read parental emotions and social cues that are crucial for survival and bonding. Adolescence brings intensive social sensing development as young people navigate increasingly complex peer relationships and social hierarchies. Adult social sensing often becomes more specialized based on professional and personal relationship demands. Older adults may maintain excellent social sensing in familiar contexts, while potentially declining in their ability to read unfamiliar social situations or new forms of social communication. The impact of modern technology on social sensing presents both challenges and opportunities. Digital communication reduces the availability of many social cues that your sensing system relies on. You can't detect body language, vocal tones, chemical signals, or micro expressions through text messages or even video calls in the same way you can in person. This may be contributing to increased social misunderstandings and difficulties forming deep connections. However, new forms of social communication are also emerging that may engage different aspects of your social sensing abilities. Individual differences in social sensing capabilities are enormous and have profound implications for personal and professional success. Some people seem to be natural social detectives, picking up on subtle interpersonal dynamics and emotional states with remarkable accuracy. Others struggle to read social cues and may miss important information about relationships and group dynamics. These differences might be partly genetic, partly based on early social experiences, and partly related to practice and attention to social information. Training and enhancing your social sensing abilities can significantly improve your relationships, communication effectiveness, and social success. Practices like mindful attention to others' nonverbal behavior, active listening that goes beyond just words to include emotional and social content, and reflection on social interactions can sharpen your social radar. Some people benefit from formal training in areas like emotional intelligence, body language reading, or interpersonal communication skills. The therapeutic applications of understanding social sensing are increasingly recognized in psychology and counseling. Many mental health conditions involve disrupted social sensing abilities. Autism spectrum conditions often include challenges with reading social cues. Depression can reduce social sensitivity, and anxiety can create hypersensitivity to social threats. Understanding how social sensing works normally can help develop more effective interventions for these conditions. As we approach the culmination of our exploration of hidden senses, remember that your social sensing system is what makes you fundamentally human. It's through these capabilities that you form relationships, navigate communities, contribute to society, and experience the profound connections that give life meaning. This sense doesn't just help you understand others. It's constantly shaping who you are through your interactions and social experiences. Your social radar is always active, always learning, always connecting you to the vast web of human relationships that defines our species' greatest achievements and deepest satisfactions. Sensory evolution and hidden potential. As we reach the culmination of our extraordinary journey through your hidden sensory world, it's time to step back and contemplate the profound implications of everything we've discovered together. We've explored 10 remarkable senses that operate beyond the traditional 5, each one revealing layers of human capability that most people never realize they possess. But now comes perhaps the most important question of all. What does this mean for you, personally, and for our species as a whole? The story of your hidden senses is ultimately the story of human evolution itself. How millions of years of survival pressures shaped you into a biological sensing machine of incredible sophistication, and how the modern world is both challenging and potentially enhancing these ancient capabilities in ways that could determine the future of human potential. The evolutionary perspective on your hidden senses reveals a story that's both humbling and inspiring. Every sense we've explored today exists because it provided crucial survival advantages to your ancestors over countless generations. Your proprioceptive system evolved because those who could accurately track their body positions were more successful hunters, climbers, and escape artists when fleeing from predators. Your interoceptive awareness developed because individuals who could monitor their internal states were better at recognizing illness, managing resources, and making survival decisions. Your seismic sensitivity emerged because detecting ground vibrations could mean the difference between detecting approaching danger or missing it entirely. Your magnetoreception capabilities evolved because those who could navigate using the Earth's magnetic field were more likely to find their way home, locate resources, and survive long journeys. Each of these senses represents millions of years of refinement, testing, and optimization under the brutal pressures of natural selection. Your electroreception abilities were honed by the need to detect the presence of other humans, predators, and prey through their bioelectric signatures. Your barometric sensitivity was sharpened by the survival advantage of predicting weather changes and atmospheric conditions. Your chronoception was refined by the need to coordinate activities, predict seasonal changes, and maintain the complex timing required for social cooperation. Your chemical communication systems evolved to facilitate mate selection, detect illness, and navigate complex social relationships. Your social sensing capabilities became extraordinarily sophisticated because human survival depended on thriving within cooperative groups, where reading social dynamics accurately could determine your status, safety, and reproductive success. But here's what's truly remarkable about this evolutionary heritage. These senses didn't evolve in isolation from each other. Over millions of years, your nervous system developed incredibly sophisticated integration mechanisms that allow all of these hidden senses to work together, creating a unified sensory experience that's far more powerful than the sum of its parts. When you walk into a room and immediately get a feeling about the situation, you're not just using one sense. You're integrating proprioceptive information about how your body responds to the space, interoceptive awareness of your physiological reactions, chemical detection of emotional and social signals, electromagnetic sensing of the bioelectric environment, barometric awareness of atmospheric conditions, chronoceptive assessment of temporal patterns, and social radar analysis of interpersonal dynamics, all processed through neural networks that can synthesize this information into actionable insights in milliseconds. This integrated sensory processing is what created what we often call intuition, gut feelings, or sixth sense experiences. These aren't mysterious or supernatural phenomena. They're the natural result of your highly evolved sensory systems detecting and processing information that your conscious mind isn't trained to recognize or interpret. When you have a gut feeling about someone you've just met, your chemical sensing system might be detecting pheromones that indicate their emotional state. Your social radar might be picking up on subtle behavioral cues that suggest their intentions. Your electroreception might be responding to their bioelectric field, and your integrated sensory processing might be comparing all of this information to patterns in your memory to generate an assessment of trustworthiness or compatibility. The modern world presents unprecedented challenges to these ancient sensory systems, and understanding these challenges is crucial for anyone who wants to maintain and develop their hidden sensory capabilities. Urban environments flood your senses with artificial stimuli that can overwhelm natural sensing abilities. Electromagnetic pollution from countless electronic devices, chemical contamination from industrial processes and artificial fragrances, constant artificial lighting that disrupts circadian rhythms, and noise pollution that masks subtle auditory cues. Our indoor lifestyles reduce exposure to natural environmental variations that help calibrate your barometric, magnetic, and seismic sensing systems. Processed foods and artificial environments can disrupt the chemical and interoceptive feedback systems that evolved to operate in natural settings. Perhaps most significantly, our increasingly digital and mediated social environments are changing how your social sensing systems develop and function. When significant portions of your social interactions happen through screens and digital interfaces, you lose access to most of the subtle cues that your social radar evolved to detect and process. This sensory deprivation in social contexts might be contributing to increasing rates of social anxiety, depression, and interpersonal difficulties that we see in populations that spend significant time in digital rather than face-to-face social environments. However, the story isn't entirely one of sensory decline and loss. The same neuroplasticity that allowed these senses to evolve over millions of years means they can also adapt and potentially enhance in response to new challenges and opportunities. People who work in professions that demand high sensory sensitivity often develop remarkable abilities that exceed normal human ranges. Musicians develop extraordinary auditory processing capabilities that extend into infrasonic and ultrasonic ranges. Athletes develop proprioceptive and spatial awareness that approaches superhuman levels. Healthcare practitioners often develop enhanced abilities to detect subtle cues about patients' conditions through multiple sensory channels. Emergency responders frequently show enhanced threat detection capabilities that combine multiple hidden senses into highly effective situational awareness systems. The research on sensory enhancement and training is revealing exciting possibilities for developing your hidden senses far beyond their baseline capabilities. Meditation practices, particularly those that emphasize body awareness and environmental sensitivity, can significantly enhance interoceptive, proprioceptive, and even exteroceptive abilities. Martial arts training has been shown to improve proprioception, spatial awareness, and even electroreception in some practitioners. Wilderness survival training and primitive living skills can reawaken dormant navigational senses, including magnetoreception and enhanced environmental awareness. Even simple practices like spending regular time in natural environments, reducing exposure to electromagnetic pollution, and paying conscious attention to subtle sensory experiences can help maintain and develop these capabilities. The individual variation in hidden sensory abilities presents both challenges and opportunities for human potential development. Just as people vary in their visual acuity or musical abilities, there are enormous differences in how strongly different individuals express various hidden senses. Some people seem to be natural intuitives with highly developed social sensing and emotional awareness capabilities. Others show remarkable spatial and navigational abilities that suggest enhanced proprioceptive and magnetoreceptive function. Still, others demonstrate unusual sensitivity to environmental changes that might reflect enhanced barometric, chemical, or electromagnetic detection abilities. Understanding and identifying your personal sensory strengths and weaknesses could become an important aspect of education, career development, and personal growth in the future. Rather than assuming everyone has the same sensory capabilities, we might develop personalized approaches to sensory development that help individuals maximize their unique sensory gifts while strengthening areas where they might be less naturally sensitive. This could lead to more effective learning strategies, better job matching, improved relationships, and enhanced overall life satisfaction. The technological implications of understanding human hidden senses are just beginning to be explored and could revolutionize how we design everything from living spaces to work environments to educational systems. Architecture and urban planning could incorporate knowledge of how built environments affect human sensory systems, creating spaces that enhance rather than overwhelm our natural sensing capabilities. Educational approaches could be developed that work with rather than against students' sensory processing styles and strengths. Medical diagnostics could incorporate assessment of hidden sensory function as indicators of neurological health and overall well-being. Perhaps most exciting are the possibilities for human technology integration that could enhance rather than replace our natural sensory abilities. Rather than creating devices that do sensing for us, we might develop technologies that amplify and extend our natural capabilities. Devices that make subtle magnetic fields more detectable, that filter electromagnetic noise to enhance natural electroreception, or that provide feedback about our internal states to strengthen interoceptive awareness. The social and cultural implications of widespread awareness of hidden senses could be transformative for how humans relate to each other and to our environment. If people understood that they're constantly engaged in chemical communication, electromagnetic interaction, and complex social sensing, it might lead to greater empathy, improved social skills, and more conscious approaches to creating positive interpersonal environments. Understanding that we're all connected through multiple sensory channels that operate below conscious awareness might foster a greater sense of interconnectedness and social responsibility. As we conclude this journey through your hidden sensory world, I want you to understand that this isn't just academic knowledge. It's practical information that can transform how you experience your daily life. You now know that you're not just a passive observer of the world around you, but an active participant in continuous sensory dialogues with your environment and the people in it. Every room you enter, you're sensing its electromagnetic environment, chemical atmosphere, social dynamics, and atmospheric conditions. Every person you meet, you're exchanging information through chemical signals, bioelectric fields, and complex social cues. Every decision you make is informed by sensory information that extends far beyond what you're consciously aware of. The choice now is yours. You can continue living as if you only have 5 senses, missing most of the rich sensory information available to you. Or you can begin the exciting journey of awakening and developing the remarkable sensory heritage that millions of years of evolution have given you. Start paying attention to your gut feelings and trace them back to the sensory information that might be generating them. Notice how your body responds to different environments and people. Trust your intuitions while also developing the skills to interpret them more accurately. Your hidden senses are not just fascinating biological curiosities. They're practical tools for navigating an increasingly complex world, for forming deeper relationships, for making better decisions, and for living a richer, more aware existence. The future belongs not to those who ignore their biological heritage in favor of artificial replacements, but to those who learn to integrate the best of both worlds, using technology to enhance rather than replace the remarkable sensory capabilities that make you uniquely and wonderfully human. Remember, you are not just a conscious mind inhabiting a biological body. You are a sophisticated, multidimensional sensing being with capabilities that science is only beginning to understand and that you yourself have barely begun to explore. The journey of sensory awakening starts now, and there's no limit to how far it can take you. But here's what I need you to understand. With every fiber of your being, you are living far below your potential right now. Every day, you go through life using only a fraction of the incredible sensory gifts that are your birthright as a human being. You're not just missing out on information. You're missing out on a richer, more connected, more meaningful existence. Think about the relationships you could deepen if you could truly sense others' emotions and needs. Imagine the decisions you could make if you trusted the wisdom your body is constantly offering you. Picture the confidence you could have if you could navigate the world using the internal compass that's been guiding humans for millions of years. This isn't about becoming superhuman. It's about becoming fully human. It's about honoring the incredible biological heritage that countless generations of your ancestors fought and survived to pass down to you. Every hidden sense we've explored today represents the hopes, struggles, and triumphs of millions of people who came before you. People who developed these abilities because their very survival depended on it. Are you really going to let that legacy fade away because modern life has made it convenient to ignore? I'm not asking you to abandon modern technology or retreat to the wilderness. I'm asking you to remember who you really are. You are the culmination of an unbroken chain of survivors stretching back to the dawn of humanity. You carry within your nervous system the wisdom of ages, the refined sensory capabilities that helped your species become the most successful and adaptable on Earth. But that heritage only matters if you choose to claim it, develop it, and use it. Starting today, right now, this very moment, I challenge you to begin the most important journey of your life, the journey back to your full sensory potential. Begin paying attention to those gut feelings you usually dismiss. Start trusting your intuition while learning to interpret it more accurately. Spend time in natural environments where your hidden senses can recalibrate and strengthen. Practice awareness of your internal states, your body's position in space, the social dynamics around you. This isn't just about personal growth. It's about the future of humanity itself. We live in an age of artificial intelligence and virtual reality, but the most sophisticated sensing and processing system ever created is the one inside your skull. As technology becomes more powerful, your unique human sensing abilities become more valuable, not less. Your capacity for intuition, empathy, environmental awareness, and social connection are the very qualities that will define human value in an increasingly automated world. If this video has moved you, if these discoveries have sparked something inside you, then don't let that feeling fade. Subscribe to LazyCosmos and join me on this incredible journey of rediscovering what it means to be fully, amazingly, powerfully human. Share this video with someone who needs to remember their own hidden potential. And most importantly, step away from this screen and start experiencing the world through all of your remarkable senses. Not just the famous five, but all the hidden capabilities that make you the incredible sensing being you were born to be. Your ancestors didn't survive predators, navigate across continents, and overcome impossible odds so that you could live a diminished existence. They did it so that you could inherit their sensory gifts and use them to create an even more extraordinary future. The question is, will you accept this inheritance, or will you let it fade away unused? The choice is yours. Your hidden senses are waiting. Your full potential is calling. What will you choose?